Hello traders, this is General Romulus, and that's right. As usual, I am coming to you live from the forum in ancient Rome. Usually on this particular channel, we talk a lot about the broad market, which direction it might be heading after it's doing whatever it is currently up to, specifically the S&P 500. Why do we do that? Well, studies have shown going back many decades that 80% of all stocks, not just in America, but around the world, 80% of all stocks follow the general direction of the S&P 500, meaning if we're talking about not day to day, not week to week, not even month to month, but 3-4 months, 12 months and longer periods of time. So if the S&P goes up 10% over the next 6 months, then 80% of every stock around the world will be up, maybe not by 10, some by 1%, some by 200%. Same thing goes on the downside. If the S&P falls 10% over 6 months, then 80%. Actually, the correlation, meaning how similar they are, the correlation goes up during the down market. Matter of fact, the only thing that goes up in a down market is correlation. Hey, how about that? Good one. And if it goes down for 6 months by 10%, 85, maybe even 90, perhaps even 95% of all stocks within the global equity sphere will be down by some amount. 10%? No, some may be down 1 or 2%. Some perhaps could be down 60 or 70 or more on a losing basis. So that's why we spend so much of our time. If you just plug that into your mental algorithm, you say, wow, General Romulus, I'm thinking this through, and you're telling me that 80% of every stock follows the general direction of the S&P 500 over an intermediate and perhaps longer time period. That is correct. Well, then why am I even bothering spending all this time, all this effort, reading and learning and listening to and studying and spending money on trying to figure out all these other investments? Well, I don't know. I don't know why you're doing that. You ought to hang out with our Legion here, come over to our camp and make your life, well, significantly simpler. But today, I want to talk about a little something different. Although folks watching these videos over the past several months have seen our yellow lines hold, as well as an ancient Roman shield wall. That's right, the ancient Romans were doing shield walls long before the Vikings and all the stuff we learn about from those TV shows that have popped up recently. And yes, when the old Roman guys got together with their shield walls, they were pretty formidable and hard to deal with and had quite a bit of meaning on the battlefield, as these yellow lines have done as well. The lower one, the most important one that we have been dealing with for some time, and we drew this line in months ago, so have all these lines been drawn in months ago. It's dealing with it right now, breaking below the 200-day moving average for the first time since tariff tantrum and late April, early May, and now breaking below it after toying with it a couple of times, now circling around that important yellow line. Is it over? Is it going to bounce from here? Do we have a relief rally? What's happening? Well, those questions don't matter all that much today. Right now, what matters is that it is down. It doesn't look like it wants to head up this second, and war news could certainly have a heavy impact on that, both in the short and intermediate term. Okay, so and what am I doing about this? Well, in my longer term, say retirement account portfolio, I don't have anything to worry about because I've been sitting in heavy cash for several months, 25% at least for several months. The largest position in the portfolio is Verizon, which is sitting right near an all-time high. Third position, biggest position is Pfizer, also sitting at near a new high. Second biggest position is Ford. This one is down for the year, but I mitigate the losses on these bigger stocks, by the way, and I don't have too many others in there. I mitigate the losses on these stocks or enhance the gains by collecting the dividends, reinvesting them. They're all paying hefty dividends and selling covered calls every week, which is just, it's free money. It's the only free money I know of on planet Earth. If you know of a way to get free money, if you know of a system or an idea or a theory or a business execution process, whether it's stocks or real estate or anything else that can produce free money for you, please let me know in the comments below. You can tag it right there. or you can always just email me directly, romulusteaches@yahoo.com. And before we go any further, let's always remind everybody that the Legion, that's the research and education group that I operate, we're after consistent returns regardless of market direction. But I am not your financial advisor nor your stockbroker. Everything posting in here is about, information and education. But today I want to talk about a couple of different things. There's some legal landscape issues going on within the social media sphere. Meta being the largest, receiving the highest brunt, the strongest brunt of these legal proceedings, but Google's involved, Snapchat is as well. And for any of these types of things, whether it's the war in Iran, and look at our posting from a few weeks ago, we told you how you will know before anyone else that you know that the war is going to be coming to an end. Oil prices is one, and oil prices are not cracking above 100. We have military defense companies, contractors, and this group is down 12, 13% from all-time highs of a couple of weeks ago, and a few other, let's say, quality signals that you can pay attention to. You can check that video out at your discretion and leisure, and then you'll know what is important and something that no one else you knows. Okay, enough of that, right? Anyway, as we were saying, Meta, Google, Snapchat involved with pretty broad and potentially damaging lawsuits. Yesterday, if you kind of peruse what's been going on recently, Meta loses $3 million case, and that was brought up by one defendant. And the defendant, I forget what they're calling her because she was a teenager at the time, 20 years old now, but a teenager at the time. I don't think they're revealing her real name even now. But I guess her mother brought the case stating that Meta was addictive. This is what they call the big tobacco moment for social media companies. So Meta was addictive, and they continued to reinforce those addictive policies. They were aware of it. They knew about it. They conducted business intentionally that way. For example, the next video type of thing, encouraging them to stay on, getting messages and updates, and all things that people should be able to police for themselves. You're a free-thinking human being, but regardless, this is what happened. Meta lost, okay? And they lost. Google was involved in that case. They're both paying, until they appeal. The ruling was they have to pay millions each into this case. Snapchat was also involved in that lawsuit initially, but they settled out ahead of time. So they removed themselves from that situation. However, the bigger one, this was New Mexico, okay? The state of New Mexico found that Meta is liable for misleading consumers about the safety of its platforms and endangering children. You see, in the child case, the parent should be a parent. And if they feel that the child is being harmed, potentially harmed, they shouldn't allow their child to go on Instagram or Facebook or WhatsApp or YouTube or any of these other places. It's totally ridiculous that parents are blaming these companies when they're the ones who are to blame. Be a parent, for crying out loud. But anyway, like I said, they lost. So again, with the New Mexican case, a fine of $375 million, far extremely dwarfing. See, one of those messages right there, right? One of those updates. That's what they won for. But anyway, coming back to the story, Meta lost this case. The fine is 100 times what they're paying out for the lawsuit that they lost yesterday in Los Angeles with the one individual. Many other states around the country have cases that are currently pending similar to this. They're all similar to these types of cases. And if you look at the stock, let's go back to Meta real quick. It is getting hammered today, down 6.5%. Meta being a big tech stock, it has losses like this prior. Here's a day when it dropped 11% in one day. It's done these kind of things before. It's not an isolated situation for them to lose 5, 6, or even 10% in a given day. But when you look at the breakdown, that is significant. Stock is now trading at the same level that it was, dating again back to the tariff tantrum. And it wouldn't take much to break it below all of this sending it to a multi-year low spiral. And also, if you think about how far it is away from its all-time highs back in the summer of 2025, billions and billions of dollars in market valuation have been lost in this company, and primarily due, not isolated, but primarily due to these lawsuits. In addition, the nation of Australia a few months ago, I believe this new policy kicked in on January 1st. No one under the age of 16 is allowed to use social media. Like, they're not allowed to do it. They're not allowed to be on there. It's not like PG-13 where you can attend the movie if you're under 13 with the a parent or guardian with you. They cannot use it. England is considering a similar type of ban. There are bans that are being considered in major countries all over the world. Okay, not only that, but as you look at the lawsuits state to state, these are also going to be happening internationally. Countries all over the world are going to be piling on now. So the 300 million here, the 4 million there, more likely than not, over the next year, is going to turn into billions and billions. In addition, referring back to the big tobacco moment, which is what a lot of analysts and the media, the financial business media, are referring to these cases, because the big tobacco companies from the 90s, the Philip Morris and who knows what else, I don't even remember the names of these companies, but they settled, big massive suits for hundreds of billions, and they just did it at once. They kind of ripped the whole Band-Aid off at once and settled with the states, and the states got this money. It was in coordination with the federal government somehow, and they all got pieces of it. So wherever you live, if you live in Texas, Texas got, $1 billion. New York got $1 billion, and so on. Okay? And whatever happened to the money, and I'm sure it wasn't eventually spent on what they said they were going to spend it on, but it's gone. So they're talking about that. But when you add in the international scene and the hundreds of billions of dollar potential losses that could be incurred by these major social media companies overseas in addition to America, and there's a serious problem going on for these firms. The stock prices are reflecting that. I mean, I'm not telling you anything brand new here. A couple of things I believe that I can add of value to this conversation, and I've been doing this a long time. Started my career in ancient Rome 2,700 years ago. Founded a city that they call the Eternal City. So maybe I have a few things I can add. Google is breaking down. Mentioned this stock a few months ago, drew the yellow line in, and it is breaking down because of this lawsuit. Meta, we know that it's breaking down, closing in on a multi-year low, eclipsing the lows that were set last April in 2025 from the Tantrum situation. But these companies have billions. They have billions and billions of dollars. It's going to hurt Meta. I don't believe it'll hurt Google as much, but it will hurt Meta significantly because this is their primary business. All right, their primary business of Google is search and that kind of thing. So they can withstand and weather this, I believe, with a greater degree of resiliency. However, Meta can be seriously damaged in addition to the struggles that they're already experiencing because of this. But they'll survive. They will survive. They've got hundreds of billions. I mean, the market valuation of these companies is measured in the trillions of dollars. They've got like literally billions of customers. Like Meta, across all of their different platforms, you measure the number of customers in the billions. Same thing with Google, YouTube and Android and all of the different ways that they're involved in search and other services they provide. Billions of customers. Snapchat, this guy could disappear. This thing could disappear. This latest round of lawsuits, even though they settled the lawsuit with the one from Los Angeles, this one here, even though Snapchat settled that one and they were out of the picture, that's one case. They're named currently in at least a few dozen other cases around the country, and like I keep saying, probably around the world as well. They will probably not survive this. Snapchat will probably not survive in anywhere resembling its current form. Existential threat is what we call this, okay? Existential threat. So, the reason I bring it up, don't be in a hurry to buy the dip on any of these stocks, Meta, Google, or Snapchat. Although I'm more interested in Google, as I mentioned. I think they have a Probably the lowest risk to all this of the three companies that we're talking about. Meta's got further to go. Any bounces will probably be sold into by big money and institutions. And Snapchat, I mean, don't think, oh, look, the stock's down so much. You know, they're still, they have millions of users, not billions, but millions. Stock's down. Look at this. Just a couple of months ago is at $10. Last year trading in the low teens, and now it's at $4. Oh, look at that. That's a bargain. That's a value. I could get in there and really make a deal for myself. But $4 can turn into 2, can turn into 1, can turn into 50 cents, 25 cents, and then, bye-bye birdie. So please be careful out there with all of this. I believe that what we saw this past week, these previous few days, is just the very beginning of these types of problems. Google, the strongest of the three, the one that will be hurt most likely the least, then Meta, and Snapchat probably doesn't survive. 2 years from now, they're probably gone from all of this, okay? All right, hey, it's been awesome to be with you. Always exciting to spend some time with folks that like to talk about ancient Rome and maybe a stock market story or two. If you want to reach me directly, romulusteaches@yahoo.com. Anytime, romulusteaches@yahoo.com. And I'll leave you with this. Thanks for sticking around. This was a long one, I realize. You might like this one. What did the Roman say when his wife got eaten by a lion? Gladiator. I guess he didn't like his wife very much. Okay, this is General Romulus. I'm heading back to ancient Rome. There will be no wives being eaten by lions today. It's more of just a little sojourn out in the country. We're all heading to our villas for spring break. And maybe you should do the same. Consistent returns regardless of market direction. And I will see you soon. That's all for now.